different places on this webinar. So to start off, I'm obviously in Melbourne, and I would love to know where you guys are from if you want to type that in the comments. Now, I've used Zoom a few times, but if you guys have watched my Facebook Lives, you know that technology and me sometimes don't get along, but we will see how we go. I do really like this platform because I'm able to share with you guys some slides that I've created, and so we can sort of talk through a little bit more in depth than what we've done on the Facebook Lives. And I've been using this platform for my 30-day. Anna from, where are you, Anna? You're in Encinitas, California? Amazing. Summertime. We're in the middle of winter here, you guys. Yeah, so I've been using Zoom for the close, Paula. Okay. And I still want to come visit you, Anna. I've been using Zoom for the 30-day mind body reset, and it's yeah, it's been really good. And so this is the first time that I'm doing this sort of free webinar, but I thought that this would be a great way just to talk to you guys about in-depth stuff. So if you've been following me, you know that I'm really passionate about sharing up-to-date information, and sort of the Your Intuitive Body platform and concept has come up because I have noticed that there's such polarity in the market. And so where we've got medical science and research, then we, have this other sort of energetic and lifestyle medicine. And what I find is that, the two sort of areas of science don't always merge. And in medicine in particular, and in anything where the science and sort of just it's a little bit of a human condition, we like to talk about the details of things and sort of separate things. But I'm a little bit more of a bridge builder in my sort of ways of thinking, and also a problem solver. And so what I've noticed, over the past decade or whatever of working in health is that people are confused about stuff. And so I'm always trying to think of why that is. And so I've noticed that there's this big gap, this big space between, how we view and understand our energetic body and our emotional and our sort of more spiritual feeling body to the chemical body. So today what we're going to do is we're going to go through how this is effectively all connected. So I'm going to take you guys through some slides. Right now I'm going to hit my share screen so that you can see this, and then we'll talk through all the information. If you have questions during the webinar, feel free to pop them up, and I'll be able to address them at some point or at the end, okay? So feel free to pop your questions in, okay? And now let's do the share screen. Here we go. All right, so the science of lifestyle medicine, you guys. Now, lifestyle medicine is actually getting a little bit more attention lately. So this is what a lot of the research is talking about, where we're talking about lifestyle rather than just the one detail of, eat this food to become amazing and have abs, or, do this one exercise to solve all your problems. I think that we are getting to a point now where we understand that those quick fixes don't work. And so lifestyle medicine actually embodies a whole bunch of different modalities. And for me, this is really important because what I noticed when I work with clients is, well, firstly, a lot of people know stuff. So people are very educated, like we're exposed to a lot of information, but that information doesn't make sense. It can be confusing, and then they still don't know what to do with it. And so a lot of it is just sorting through this information and sort of, this is why we're going to talk about the value of intuition, because I believe that when we get calm and centered and balanced, that the answers are a lot more clear. And this has been a personal journey for me, but it's also something that I've found with my clients as well. And so this is why we're sharing this today. All right, guys. So food is the foundation for emotional and biochemical healing. Now, this is every once in a while I'm able to sort of put my thoughts into words and get just some clarity around some bigger concepts. And for me, this expresses exactly what I have discovered, which is that, knowing nutrition science and just eating well isn't the only thing that we need to do, right? And I've had that experience myself where I was like, well, I'm eating all the right things and still not getting better. And it's, so there's this emotional body as well. And it's because we're actually a chemistry sandwich. We're basically, our emotions and our thoughts are creating chemistry within our body. They're telling our brain to release neurotransmitters and hormones and signaling. It's, our nervous system control is very much emotional and controlled by our thoughts because it's so automatic. And, and obviously food then is the foundation for building that chemistry and providing what we need in our chemistry to create those hormones, to create those neurotransmitters. And so this is why lifestyle is so important, because we have to have things in our lives that help us in that emotional space as much as we need to get past this calorie counting model and this basic attack of processed food in our diets. I feel like, just the high prevalence of that type of packaged food that's got glycophosphates and, has gone through, very, unhealthy processes to get onto the shelf and live for 1,000 years or whatever it does. It's a very unfair sort of thing that's happened in the marketplace, because then, there's the emotional drivers of food, and then that food's there, and then our chemistry is confused, okay? So we need to get to the bottom of what's going on with food, and first of all, understand that, acknowledge that food has an impact, and then bring in this emotional awareness. So I've got this cute little diagram. I actually did this a couple of years ago, and to me, this is representing that chemical sandwich. So we're in all aspects, we're talking about the brain releasing chemicals and having an impact on the body, but it's twofold. So there's sort of two sides to it, and partly it's the nervous system and partly it's the emotions. And so, with the HPA axis, just so that this was from a stress sort of presentation that I did, but the HPA axis means hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal. So it's your brain sensing the emotions, it's your pituitary telling your adrenals to release the chemicals. And, this is where a lot of that HPA axis, it's this very integrated network. So that's also going to be, an underlying philosophy that we're going to go through in today's talk, is that it's all integrated. We can't have one thing go wrong in one part of the body. We can't take something just for our hair, skin, and nails and hope that gives us good hair, skin, and nails. We have to address the gut. We have to address the liver. Everything is always going to be connected, okay? So here's just a summary of what we're going to go through today. So so why most disease is connected at some level to the biochemistry in our endocrine system, and how then we can use that information to heal our sex hormones. So this is going to be everything to do with fertility, periods, and libido. And these are big areas in our lives, and we don't always talk about them. And we're not always that aware of the things that are wrong, because I think that when we're talking about medicine this in depth, we're going past just, people being like obesity and disease and real unwellness that's just in your face. And that's usually what sort of the medical community is dealing with. When we're talking about this, we're talking about fine-tuning things to go from like average wellness, where we're, maybe coping, to, having really vital, amazing health. And this is, so it's really about raising the bar, because I think that we have a fairly low expectation when we go in and see a doctor. They often turn people away unless there's something, if there's something really, really wrong. Now, so my philosophy is, obviously, I want you guys to go from feeling okay to feeling great. And I believe that you can. And I think that until we've experienced that, until we've sort of cleaned up our diet and, done this sort of emotional healing, then we have no idea that that's even possible. So, and also, and this is also talking about how the hormones, the adrenals, and the thyroid are connected. So this is that integrated system, but these are the three ones that show up the most as, giving us the clues. And these are the ones that I tend to work with clients the most. So they are, if someone's had adrenal fatigue, or if someone's got low adrenals and is going through a time of stress, their thyroid is likely impacted, and their sex hormones are likely impacted. Also, if they're noticing that their periods are out of whack or there's infertility, usually we also have to do the adrenals, and we also have to check the thyroid. So it's like this trifecta. Those are the key systems that, I tend to focus on. And it's been described before by Kelly Brogan as 3D glasses. And it's like you can't have one thing wrong in one of those areas without it affecting the rest. And then ultimately it affects our mental health and the way that we feel, because hormones are so closely tied, not just sex hormones, all hormones, adrenals and thyroid, very much tied to our mood and our emotional well-being. So this is exactly how our thoughts and feelings shape our biochemistry. Now, I probably will be repeating myself a little bit through this, and hopefully, I know that some of these concepts are quite big, so I think it's awesome that you guys are on here and just taking that initiative to learn about your own health. I think that there's too much outsourcing. I think that we're doing too many programs where we try and get someone to tell us what to do. My feeling is that that doesn't work, and what I want you guys to do is learn. And it doesn't mean that you need to become a scientist, but you can learn enough, and especially if you tap into your intuitive power, then you can navigate through this stuff with confidence. And that's what my goal is in the work that I do. So our thoughts and our feelings shape our biochemistry. We're going to talk about that a little bit more, how your body's intelligence is advanced beyond the current medical model. So I really want to have you guys understand how smart your body is. I think that we have a marketplace and we have an education system. We've been told that, things go wrong in our body and, oh, it's just kind of a dumb body. I believe that that is the underlying message we've been giving ourselves. And my feeling and my understanding after studying biochemistry and understanding how amazing all this stuff is our body is actually really smart, and it's the marketplace, and it's the dumb food that we've created, and it's the, nasty stuff that we've put into our environment, and it's the negative, negativity that's out there that's actually affecting us, and especially really highly sensitive people. And, then there's a lot of eating disorders from that. And, so it's just such a negative soup. And I think that if we shift that, and if we respect and understand that our bodies are inherently intelligent, nature created us intelligent, nature created trees, nature created plants and seeds, and, all of this universe is such a miracle, and our bodies are a miracle as well. So they're inherently intelligent. We have to remove the noise to get back to that intelligence. So we're going to also talk about some ways for you to tap into your own intuition and access this healing in your life. So I'll share just the things that I've learned and the things that I teach to my clients, and the healthy lifestyle secrets that I swear by and always teach my clients. Okay, so now this is from a wonderful book by Jill Willard, and what's amazing is that people in different fields. So Jill Willard is actually a medium, and so she's highly intuitive, beyond our realm of hearing. But I really love her understanding and philosophy as well, because it matches mine, which is that we have to remove the noise and reduce the noise in order for us to tune in. So this quote, we all have a knowing. It's really just a question of whether we're willing to acknowledge and honor what we know and act on it in a positive way. So I don't know about you guys, but my personal experience of healing has been that when I healed the emotions and when I healed that other noise in my life, it's not like my illness just went away, but I tended to find the answers. So while the emotional healing was taking place, it cleared my mind for me to go, oh, I think I'm going to try quitting gluten. Like, it was like that answer was just there. And so when we're intuitive and when we're tapping into our own body's wisdom, then it's a really, really powerful tool for us to find answers, connect to people who have the answers, end up on webinars where there's amazing information. And then you have that beautiful synchronicity. And synchronicity is absolutely, you know, when you're just getting that same message over and over again, it's such an affirmation that you're on this right path, and your body just knows that this is right. Whereas the opposite is true, where if you're feeling negative and you're getting blocks, and even if something mentally seems good, and you're like, oh, that seems like it should work, and you're just pushing, sometimes, you know, it's just the universe telling you not to stay on that path. It's your body resonating with that energy. So The Intuitive Being book by Joe Willard is absolutely beautiful. If you guys want to pick that up and learn more about that. All right, so I want to start with some foundation here. So what is food? Food is more than calories, and it's what feeds our biochemistry. So I think that like my study is in nutritional medicine, so it's a little bit different to your standard nutrition. And I did a little Facebook Live, if you guys want to look on my Facebook page, where I talked about the sort of difference in the market, where, you know, your dietetics and standard nutrition is on sort of one side of where the market sits, more in your sort of mass market, mainstream sort of area, whereas what I studied sits more with natural therapies. But there's still science to it. So I studied biochemistry, and I love biochemistry, because what biochemistry is biochemistry is looking at all the pathways that it takes to make something. And so it's really this, well, it's not really like a domino effect, but it's more like connecting the dots. Like if we want to create something biochemically in the body, if we want to make a hormone, it has to start somewhere. And then it has to go along this whole pathway where it requires nutrients. So food is more than calories. Food is those nutrients to create everything in the body. And there is so much going on in the body. And, you know, this is just, I'm talking mostly about hormones and all this stuff today, but of course, you know, then there's the microbiome, and there's the fact that we are more bacteria than cells. We're more, the bacteria in our body have more DNA than we do. So, you know, there's absolutely, it's so vast, it's so unexplored. To say that food is just calories is really just dumbing it down way too much. It's just an oversimplified measurement, and I think that you guys deserve to know more than that. So we're gonna take this to the next level. Just on that, I'm just gonna explain to you guys, because sometimes I go a little bit too far, but I want to just tell you what a calorie is. So a calorie is a measurement of energy. Carbohydrates have 4 calories per gram, and protein has 4 calories per gram, and then fats have 9 calories per gram. So fats are viewed as something that has like higher calories, therefore is negative. Totally wrong. If we flip this, and if we understand that protein and carbs have 4 grams of energy and fats have about double, fats are much more efficient energy. Okay, so I do whole talks on fats and stuff, and it's really important to me for people to understand this. But just because calories and protein have less energy does not mean that they're better. Fats are actually the winner because they're more efficient, and that the fats energy actually is the only type of energy that will signal to our body that it's full. So it's actually communicating. Fats communicate with leptin, and they suppress ghrelin. So leptin's a hormone that tells us that we're full. So I just wanted to add that in there. So what is food? Food's providing nutrients for these biochemical pathways. This includes vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients, which means plant nutrients. These are a class of nutrients that aren't vitamins and minerals. Vitamins and minerals are essential. Phytonutrients or plant nutrients are non-essential. However, they probably are essential because we're the ones who called them non-essential. And more research comes out all the time about how these phytonutrients just like supercharge ourselves, have all these amazing anti-cancer benefits, and do all these incredible things. So a high plant-based diet is definitely super important. And the energy of food, the vitality of those phytonutrients, also super important. So of course, protein, fiber, and fats and carbohydrates, those are our macronutrients, and those make up, the bulky part of our diet. Notice that fats is in there. So we were never meant to eat low fats. Fats are a macronutrient, not just omega-3s. We need all fats in the diet. All right, you guys, I love this stuff so much, don't I? I hope that you're enjoying this. All right, now, these are the building blocks and messengers to fuel our entire body, whatever. And what you eat influences cellular behavior and genetic expression. So there's a term called epigenetics, and epigenetics refers to environment and food, so your lifestyle, having the ultimate impact on your genes. So if you're born with a predisposition genetically, it doesn't mean that that has to be expressed. Epigenetics is referring to the way that your environment can either switch that genetic expression on or off. So we do have, power to influence these things. And this is where, you can take this natural stuff and get super awesome and scientific about it, because then, we can actually influence this stuff. We're not just born with disease. So this is another thing that science was wrong about when they first came out with all their genetic theories. We've now learned that just because you've got a genetic predisposition doesn't mean that that has to play out. And so food is more than calories. So I've already explained that. Body weight. So we're so focused on body weight. And I actually don't do any weight loss with any clients. I won't work in that way. And I do think that focus on body weight does fuel eating disorders. So, and I think that there's a whole bunch of gray area in what eating disorders are, but I don't think that we should be overly focused on it. But if we simply focus on how we feel, on controlling and managing our appetite and our blood sugar, and on having healthy periods, on reducing stress, and all of these sort of healthy lifestyle things, our weight will manage itself. And our weight will, our weight is actually a sign that something's out of balance. It's not that we're too lazy. It's not that we're not burning enough calories. That mindset of eating too much and then burning it off, it doesn't work that way. It's like, with the calories thing, it's just dumbing it down too much. The body has so much more going on than that. Not to negate that altogether, but it's that I want us to look deeper. And so when I work with clients, we work on our balancing hormones overall. And I've got programs that, work towards this, and it's, the feedback from people has been really amazing, because it's, changing the way that they feel emotionally, changing their mental well-being, as well as, shaping the body and healing digestion and doing all these things. So that's what my philosophy is. And I think that focus on body weight is too superficial. And because someone can be quite thin and quite skinny and still have a lot of disease going on in the body. So it's not, something that we shouldn't overly focus on, okay? All right, so here's another diagram. Now, this is again just showing sort of all these layers of connectedness between the body and the adrenals, which is spelled wrong by the person, doesn't matter, and our mind and our nutrition. And so obviously we can bring in support with reducing stress, lifestyle, diet, our thinking patterns, as well as understanding the energetics. So the more sort of subtle sort of energies that are happening that are influencing everything, having an interconnectedness to other people, to our own bodies, to our community. And these things are all very important for health. And just our overall relationship with food. So this is like its core values about health. So just to give you guys that sort of sense of integration of what this all is. All right, so nobody else cares about your health or knows about your own body more than you do. So this goes back into, you guys need to be engaged. You guys need to care. You guys are the ones sensing what's going on in your body. When we're talking about being intuitive, this is ultimately putting your own health care in your hands, which can be a little bit, like I don't always want that responsibility, but it's mine, right? It's about owning it. It's about being there with yourself. And it sort of ties back into our whole philosophy about life and about relating to the world. Are we, codependent? Are we looking for someone else to come and save us? This is empowering, because if we put our health back into our own hands, then that energy, that shift there is going to impact other areas too. It's going to impact our relationships. It's going to impact, the wider sort of picture. And, we could sort of talk about a collective consciousness here. When we heal ourselves as well, everybody else feels that impact. When we're well, when we're centered, and when we're feeling good in our bodies, people around, we're not going to snap at people. We're going to feel empowered, so have less to complain about. So it just has this, and people are going to go, what are you doing? How come you're so, centered? So there's so many reasons, especially if you're parents, especially if you've got kids or a partner. And even professionally, like there's a lot of stuff going on in workplaces, and a lot of it has to do with people not looking after themselves. So that whole workplace well-being thing is another area that I'm interested in creating changes in. Okay, you guys, so finding the root cause. Now, I just wanted to talk about hormones throughout this, because I think that our hormones are the bigger clue. If we look at our hormones, then we can often, if we look closely at our hormones in general and look at all these areas, then that's where we're going to find out what's going on, because all the hormone systems are communicating. So what hormones are, you guys? Hormones are the chemical messengers that are created in the different sort of throughout the endocrine system. So they're made in the endocrine. Well, they're made in different parts of the body. The brain signals for them to be made, but your stress hormones might be made in your adrenals, so your cortisol and your adrenaline, and those types of hormones would be made in your adrenal glands. You're going to make insulin, which is also a hormone, in your pancreas. So insulin communicates to the whole body. So it uptakes sugar, but it's still having, when there's insulin constantly available and being triggered, the body knows. Every part of the body is sensing every other change. And so the adrenals, interestingly, do make some of, like women, some of their testosterone is produced in the adrenal glands, which is very interesting, because then if we look at when we're under stress and we're predominantly making cortisol, we're probably not going to make testosterone, which is like an important libido hormone. So see how like the adrenals automatically aren't separate from our sex hormones, because we make sex hormones in our adrenals. So yeah, this is all, I find it all so interesting. I think that it's, only just becoming understood in integrated medicine or functional medicine. And this area of research and understanding is growing. And so as a consumer, you guys, you need to stay engaged with this information. Obviously a journalist at a news station is not going to see research and have the capacity to understand this stuff. And what we need are more medical people, writing and understanding marketing and understanding media. And we need to have more integration of the medical community to actually be able to communicate it, which is great for social media, because then you get people like me out here talking to people and posting articles and sharing my opinions. Okay, so any hormone imbalance is part of a larger picture, okay, because all of our hormone systems communicate. Now, this can be, so the root cause, so when there's a disorder, I said this in the beginning, I wanted to tell you guys why your biochemistry and imbalance in hormones is at the root cause of most disease. So faulty messaging would be, for some reason, if your hormone cells and those messengers are not able to communicate to each other, something's going to go wrong in the body. This often happens with the thyroid, because the thyroid is actually, quite a sensitive it's a sensitive gland. It's shaped like a butterfly and it's in your throat. It only makes 1 teaspoon of thyroid hormone per year that fuels your whole metabolism. But the thyroid's also closely linked to anxiety and mood, and has like the presence of thyroid hormone has this whole systemic effect and influence over the whole body. If there's something not right about that thyroid hormone, and if the thyroid's been blocked from producing thyroid hormone from fluoride or through toxins, then that's going to create faulty messaging throughout the whole body. So when there's something wrong in your thyroid, every other part of your body is going to like up or down regulate and change to try to get back to homeostasis, because it can't just run with one thing out. It's like it's always going to try and adjust to go into some sort of balance. So you can understand how messy this all gets if you think about your body like a business. If you've got one department that's not working well, and then trying to get to that department, fix that department when all the other areas are out of whack as well, and just trying to get to figure out where that problem has started from is really complex. And so we need more creative thinking in medicine, and we need to be a little bit more open-minded about getting to the root cause, because sometimes it can be multi-layered, multifaceted. Okay, so that faulty messaging is going to have a systemic effect, so that can be a root cause in itself. Depletion of raw materials, so AKA nutrients. If we don't have those nutrients, if we don't have zinc, if we don't have iron, iodine, selenium, we're not going to make our hormones effectively. And these are all common deficiencies. So, when we're talking about being, being healthy, our body will get by for a certain period of time. And depending on your genetic resilience and your own sort of genetic backing, it's different. Everybody's different. Everyone's got different blueprints. So something might affect you more or less, and all of us are going to affect differently. But we really don't want to be deficient in nutrients. Like we want to provide optimal energy. We probably take better care of our cars than we do our bodies. Like we'll buy the good petrol and we'll get it serviced regularly, and put all the fluids in. Well, sometimes I forget to do my car, but in general, we look after our cars better than our bodies, I'd say. Okay, so toxic interference as well. So I mentioned before fluoride and glycophosphate and all of these shitty chemicals that we have put in our foods and into this poor planet. These are creating toxic interference. The thing is about studies that get this stuff passed, you guys, they can't study anyone for a lifetime. And they also, like, studies are inherently, science has weaknesses because we can't study people for a lifetime. I mean, you could, but it's like, I mean, even a 30-year sort of study, it takes 30 years, right? So we've got such a delay in response. And often these decisions about toxins and stuff are economically driven. And so we've got companies pressuring to get these things across. And so anyways, the systems are not necessarily protecting us. So all those things are affecting our hormones, and this messaging within the body can, if it's faulty, and if these hormones are not getting enough nutrients, have toxins, and have some sort of faulty messaging, even vegetable oils and those kinds of things can directly impact the messaging potential and capacity of a cell, because those fats are so broken. The vegetable oil fats that have been so processed are so broken, and then when they're sitting in the cell, that cell cannot communicate properly. So we want to get those out of the diet. But obviously, this is why this hormone messaging is so important. So whether it's, having a gut disorder or cancers or autoimmune diseases, we always want to go back and find out what's interfered on an endocrine level. All right. So what we eat and how we feel matter. Now, and this is, that a little bit of, just being empowered. And when you go, like if you do go see a GP, or when you're going to see a health professional, and just pay attention to how you feel about what it is that you're asking. Because the thing is that, and I've been through this as well, I didn't always have the answers to what was going on with me. But we have to keep asking if we don't like what we hear. And we have to get second opinions, and we have to look in different areas, and we have to keep this open-mindedness, because what we eat does matter. So if you're, coming across any health professionals and doctors out there who don't understand that food is, a really big influence on us, then I'd be walking away from that relationship and finding a new one. And how we feel matters too. And, so it's the same, like if you're going through anxiety and you go to the doctor and you get given Valium, I'm concerned about that, because it's not getting to the root cause. And there are some other, amazing herbal things and things that we can do for anxiety. But ultimately, that anxiety, that depression, that imbalance in your period, that, upset tummy, these are all signs that something's out of balance. And so we have to keep asking questions. Okay, so what we eat and how we feel do matter. All right, so your mind is speaking to your body all the time, and all your cells are listening. So this is just sort of reinforcing that idea that our thoughts are shaping this chemistry. Our thoughts are telling our chemistry what to make more of, what to trigger. It's all unconscious. So it's such an amazing nervous system that we've got. All right, so let's talk a little bit about ways to use our intuition. So I've sort of laid a foundation for you guys to understand, some of the chemistry that's happening in your body, and that your chemistry ultimately wants homeostasis. So your homeostasis is balance. Your body, your chemistry ultimately wants to try to go back to balance, and it's always going to do its best. And the body's always speaking to us through our symptoms, through our anxiety, through our depression, through our gut aches, through our periods, through our libido, through our gut feelings. We have 90% of our serotonin, or 95% of our serotonin receptors are in the gut. Our brain produces chemicals as well as our gut. Our gut produces chemicals. It's this feedback system between the brain and the gut. And those gut feelings, those butterflies, like, they are a communication to our nervous system, and then our brain talks back to our gut. And it's just such an amazing amazing ability and intelligence within the body. It's just mind-blowing. And like I said before, it's like I think that we've gotten all kind of almost high and mighty about medicine, acting like we're smarter than the planet, smarter than outer space, smarter than our bodies, and we just need to, like, you know, get the smart guy to fix the body. And, you know, we outsource to the person in the white coat and to the person who we think is smarter than us. But I'm telling you, your body's smart and your body knows more than anybody else. And so it's just about being able to listen to these signs. And that's how using our intuition is really powerful. So by tuning in, we can shift our chemistry and start healing. So by becoming more centered, we start to change that chemistry part of the sandwich, right? And when we change that chemistry part of the sandwich, we start to be able to shape and change the way that we feel. And also, when we become centered, we make better choices with our food. So then that helps the other part of the sandwich, which is the chemistry from our food, right? And so that's why it's important to be doing that. So when we reduce the noise, your body's not so stupid after all. I said this one time after, look, I've put that I quoted myself. Now, I said this to someone, yeah, have you guys heard of like an elevator pitch, right? Like you're supposed to be able to explain what you do in just a few words. And it's kind of like if you're in business or, you know, any kind of self-marketing or whatever, then this is always like a thing. I don't really like elevator pitches that much because I like to talk a lot, not a little. But every once in a while, I sort of just like spit something out and I'm just trying in conversation. If you've only got like a second to talk to someone and they go, what do you do? And I go, well, I, you know, work with people on their health, but like the really frustrating thing is that people don't even know the potential of their body. And so then I said this, like when we reduce the noise, your body's not stupid. And that's a big aha, because I think that we've not been treating the body that way. We've been treating the body like there's something wrong with it. And I, you know, just to break through that noise and be able to say to someone, your body's smart and all your symptoms are relevant. Like sometimes that's a freaking big deal, right? Like to actually go, oh my God, I'm not crazy. And I went through years of chronic pain and nobody knew what was going on. And yes, there was an emotional part to it, but then there was also the biochemistry that needed to be addressed, which was getting rid of gluten was such a big thing for me, but it was also changing my exercise, changing, you know, just everything was this, and then supplements and food and everything's integrated. All right, so that's what I believe in, you guys. Now, getting centered. How do we do this? Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but I didn't used to like speaking in public, even though I think I'm a little bit extroverted, I've learned. But I used to actually freak out. Like I would just get, like I couldn't even look at a camera, and trying to do videos a few years ago by myself. I was like, no way, like this just isn't me. My friends who I asked to help me felt so sorry for me because I was just in so much pain doing it. And anyway, so for the past 3 years, I've been doing meditation and focusing on how I feel and learning about all this stuff, and it's just changed everything. So it's changed my own capacity to deal with my discomfort. One tool, and that's what these tools are about, okay? One tool is to exhale. So when we exhale, our body instantly gets a message that everything's okay, because you can't exhale if you're running from a tiger or under like threat of life. So exhaling is a really great tool. So and obviously, you know, if someone's hyperventilating and having really bad anxiety, they're not exhaling. So, because that's the nervous system thinking something really bad's happening. So if you can just practice this in daily life, do that long exhale, that's going to help bring the nervous system down. When we switch off the stress and the fight or flight response, we go into a low natural gear, and we go into a place that's not stress. If you guys can remember what that feels like, a lot of us live in that state. I know I did for years. But in that state of low gear, everything happens just a little bit nicer, because you're not under threat of life. Got a whole different set of hormones and, chemicals at play in that space, and exhaling is a great way to get you there. Also, feeling what's there. So, big lesson for me in as well, like learning not to resist that anxiety and that discomfort. So it's very easy to try to avoid it and, go shopping or drink wine or go for a run or distract yourself and be busy. And oftentimes when we're doing all those things, it's a coping mechanism to not have to feel all that discomfort. And we can actually switch it off, right? But we're sort of blocking it out. And emotions actually don't just disappear when we try and block them out. They actually just get buried. And then that whole emotional energy stays and tries to come out later, and then have a big cry or a breakdown or something really intense happens. But if we can just feel what's there more regularly, then that's an affirmation. One tool is as well, like when you do feel anxiety, if you can actually just say to it, thank you. So just saying to your anxiety, I can see that you are concerned for me, and I really appreciate that. Now, I'm not going to ignore what you're saying, and you can just you can sit down right here, but we're just going to go about things in a calm way. And it's just that affirmation and sort of speaking to yourself in that way that is really, really powerful to help you get calm and deal with anxiety. Okay, so making space as well. So obviously this is just sort of allowing this thought, allowing this into your life, allowing the space for yourself. Do you take time on your own? Are you always distracted and busy? Or do you make space for yourself to feel what's there, do some journaling, do some sort of what I call yin activities, and I do a whole bit on this in my 30-day reset. These yin activities are what keep us, just tuning into ourselves, and they're the slower activities. Going for a run can be good, but sometimes going for a run is going to push more adrenaline and push us more into a stress state. And I mentioned before following synchronicities. And synchronicities are those little signs that, like these little affirmations that keep popping up, and they tend to feel good. And that's something as well, like when we're on the right path, there tends to be a lot of a really nice positive feeling to it. It's not to say that anxiety is bad and means that we're on the wrong path, but it might be trying to tell us something. It might be trying to tell us to slow down, or that if to look at our diet, or the body's always it's on our side. It's not our enemy. And so we just have to look at these things and be curious and ask what that is. But the synchronicities tend to have a really positive feeling to them. So tapping into healing. Now, this is a really big concept as well. So this is just a little bit deeper into what I explained before about high gear and low gear. So when our body is in high gear, it's under stress. And, when people are under stress, they end up with disrupted sleep, and it sort of sets off this whole, because it's disrupting all the hormone messaging in the body. The body's not doing its healing because it's always in a high stress state. So the body's natural healing occurs during stress. So this is true for the liver, which regenerates during the night. And athletes, like I used to work in sports nutrition with bodybuilding and with, high performance athletes, right? And these athletes are so good at knowing to have a nap, because they're like, yeah, I'm going to have a nap and all my muscles are going to recover. And, look how many people push themselves in day-to-day life, but, you know, and you're pushing yourself and not resting, and you're thinking that you're a superhero for like going off no sleep, and you think that rest is indulgent. And I know that I used to be that kind of person, because when I went through my adrenal fatigue, I didn't want to rest. I was like, oh my God, I must be so lazy, like I should be productive. Okay, so the thing that I want you guys to know is that rest is so good. Rest is, if your body's craving a nap and you can take one, because that's when healing occurs. Like, it's such a miracle to give your body that rest. And I did a Facebook Live on sleep debt, and you know, it's a real thing. If you don't get sleep during the week, you need to catch up on the weekend if you can. So the stress response is the opposite of healing. It constantly drains the body of energy. Becoming centered switches your nervous system out of high gear and into low gear. Okay, so high gear is up here in the stress response. When we become centered, our nervous system changes gear. It goes into non-fight or flight. It goes into all the things that facilitate hormones and fertility and libido and digestion and making thyroid hormones, and it does all the nice calm activities that are so essential to our overall well-being and happiness. Low gear is also where we digest heavily, okay, and prevents aging. So because when we're in stress response all the time, and when we're pushing all the time, and that cortisol's high, we're going to be breaking down, cortisol breaks down collagen. That's not good. That definitely made me want to meditate. Okay, now this is just a diagram that's about the stress response. So this is actually the 3 stages of stress. Stage 1 of stress is a positive short energy burst, where we get, you know, body senses, I've got to write an exam, got to get something done, gives you this great energy burst. You actually feel quite good under stress. And then when that task is tackled, your body goes back down into low gear. Stage 2 is where our body is actually under quite a bit of stress, and it's been like a month, and that stress isn't gone, and we're under the pump every day, and you know, not sleeping, and then having difficulty in our marriage, and then like financial problems and all this stuff. And these people get tired and wired. So they're tired, but the adrenal stress is keeping them going. So it's a bit of a like buzzy kind of energy. It's not like calm, normal energy that your body's, you know, producing because it knows that it's safe. It's wired energy because you're actually in fight or flight during this adapting stage, and you're pushing through. This is where we need to intervene, because the thing is, when we talk about our intuition and stuff, if you're in this adapting stage, you're not going to be very intuitive. You're blocking out all the body's signs because you're focused on just surviving. And if you keep doing this, then your body's going to potentially become depleted. You're going to crash and you're going to burn out. And it's a lot harder to come back from that place. And I've done that. And yeah, it took 2.5 years. So only in the last sort of 6 months, like I've actually realized my adrenals feel more resilient again. But it's because I didn't stop at stage 2. And most of my clients are at stage 2. And so I want to take them back to stage 1. I want to show them how to bring the nervous system down, bring in adrenal support adaptogens. Apparently Gwyneth Paltrow's all about the adaptogens too. I can't live without my adaptogens. I notice it if I'm off them for a few days, and that's because, you know, those adrenals haven't gone through burnout. They're not as strong as they used to be, so by taking adaptogens, it makes them more resilient. I love this is actually a lyric by Wade Imre Morissette, who's Alanis Morissette's brother, and he's super into his yoga and all of these teachings, obviously. But, you know, when things are flowing on the inside, our biochemistry is flowing. There's not blocks. There's not toxins, you know, that are destroying something. There's not lack of nutrients. Then we're thriving on the outside. And it's the same as beauty from within. I mean, all of this is really ultimately tied together at the end of the day. And So the lifestyle tools, these are the ones that I share. I've talked about meditation a few times already. It's because it's so important to me. So I do meditation I started off on 10 minutes a day a few years ago, and then eventually, about a year ago, I started doing 20 minutes twice a day. And some days it's just one, but I definitely notice if I miss meditation that my nervous system starts to not feel as calm and relaxed. Meditation is like a gym for your nervous system. It trains you to go from high gear to low gear. And that's why I can get calm when I have to speak and do things now. I can actually feel so much calmer than I ever used to. When I couldn't feel calm is when I was going through that really stressful period and I was always in a high gear. So then it was impossible to manage my nervous system. But it's taken that daily practice is what has trained my nervous system to be able to do that. Yin Yoga is more of like a relaxation type of yoga. And I personally had, my back problem was from yoga. So I was doing Bikram and Ashtanga and like hard yoga. And I loved that sort of, push mentality, obviously. Yin Yoga is more of like that softer sort of, staying in a posture for longer, focusing on your breathing. I think that more of us need that type of yoga because most of us are sort of in that push space. Daily movement. So movement for me, like I said, I don't do weight loss with clients. I work on the endocrine system. But I also love exercise. Like I swim daily. I'm exercising a few times a week, but I'm moving daily. But depending on my energy level, that movement might be going on my yoga mat. And I do my intuitive sort of style of yoga where I just feel what's there and I move where I feel like my body needs to. My legs go up the wall sometimes. Now, lymphatic movement, movement through the body is so important. Our lymphatic system does not have its own muscle system. It requires our muscles to move. And our lymph is a huge detoxification tool that filters the blood and, works between the blood and the skin. Works and supports the immune system, breaks down debris, helps the body eliminate toxins. So we need to physically move daily to move our lymphatics. So it's much more than about burning calories. We just need movement to get actual flow within our body. I also, and cooking most meals at home, I love eating out, and I've got expensive taste because a lot of the food that's out there, I just don't want anymore. And it doesn't make me feel good. It doesn't have the right energetics. And so I do cook a lot at home because I feel like oftentimes I can actually make something a lot quicker if I buy good quality ingredients than what I can get out. But this has been a pattern I've seen in all my clients. Even Elena Fitzgerald, the winner from Australia's Next Top Model, she's, only 18 years old and she's cooking her meals, traveling the world. And she's like, Sita, I can't believe it. I really enjoy preparing food now. And I really think that this, is an opportunity for us to connect to our food and to actually enjoy our food more. It's more than the taste. It's understanding what ingredients there are. And when we eat out, we don't always have in control of what those ingredients are. Doesn't mean that you can't go out for healthy burgers. And in Melbourne, we're really lucky. We've even got like a low-carb super bun at a place called Grilled. And I love it because it's got, coconut oil, psyllium husks, and almond meal and eggs in it. And that's the bun. And then they use grass-fed meat and really good high-quality ingredients, lots of vegetables that you can have on the burgers. And so all of a sudden the burger's not so unhealthy anymore. So you can eat out a little bit, but I think that for the most part, making your breakfast and your lunch at home or at least, taking a few ingredients with you is going to definitely boost your health. And most people who work with me need to be prepared to do a little bit of that. And I show people how to do it in an easy way. Balance your glycemic load. So this has to do with insulin. And if we are going to have any impact on the endocrine system at all, we have to control sugar and we have to focus on glycemic load. And we want low glycemic load. Your body cannot absorb more than, your body doesn't want more than 1 teaspoon of sugar in the blood at a time. If it's got more than a teaspoon of sugar, then that sugar goes into the liver, and then it starts getting converted into toxins down like an aldehyde pathway, the same pathway that ferments alcohol. And so that's how we get fatty liver from too much sugar, and 1 teaspoon is a lot. So most people are eating a slice of bread that has 20 grams of carbohydrates minimum. Okay, that's like, we're just eating 20 grams is 4 teaspoons, equivalent of 4 teaspoons of sugar in a slice of bread. So we really need to focus on our glycemic load. If you can do anything in your diet, then this is the place to start. I also want people to avoid low fat, and I want people to eat normal amounts of all fats. Someone asked me the other day, and this is going to be a constant confusion. I've got another Facebook Live on fats if you guys want to watch that. I explained before about calories. Fats are more efficient energy, but all fats, all healthy, normal, real fats, whether they be from animals or avocados or coconuts or salmon, all of these fats are having a better impact on your glycemic load and your cells than any low-fat diet ever could, and then any of those vegetables ever could. So we were told to eat low-fat and vegetable oils, and those are the exact opposite of what we need. So this is like, I know it's going to mess up your mind to try and like think, what does that mean? How do I increase more fats? You have to take one of my programs, because it's like I have to tell people literally 10 times how to do this. It's really tricky. Lifestyle tools, adaptogens, get on them. And they do, most of us are under stress, and most of us need some adrenal support. Things like rhodiola, ashwagandha, which is also called withania. That's one of my favorites. Magnolia, licorice. And of course your B vitamins, and then your magnesium, and having a personalized supplement plan. Supplements are amazing. You need to know which ones are good. I've worked in retail, and I've worked in behind the scenes of making products, and they're not all equal. So you got to, get some advice, I'd say, because it's going to save you money. Otherwise you end up buying stuff, and then I often say to my clients, that one's actually not that good, sorry. So wait and, get a consult on that. And it's definitely worthwhile. Follow me on my Instagram. I give lots of tips about supplements, Mind Body IQ, and Sita.Huber. All right, self-care begins and ends with what you eat. Now, I just truly believe that food is the foundation, and I think that we need to pay more attention to it to be well, okay? So it's going to affect our biochemistry. It's going to affect every part of our lives, our mood, our mental health, our anxiety, our ability to manage stress, our relationships, our libido, our hormones, our longevity, our skin, our aging, our whole experience here on this planet. And to take care of yourself means to pay attention to what you eat and to learn the new rules of nutrition, because they've changed. That is a big message, you guys. Okay, so I've got a few programs, so I'm going to take you through these quickly. So this one I just launched, and you guys know I did Nutrition for Australia's Next Top Model last year, which was really exciting. And then I created the Beautiful Diet ebook, and I've done some other workshops on it, but we can't always do the live workshops. That's and I can't reach as many people doing that. So the online programs have been perfect. So I've launched the Beauty Fuel Detox. So that's going to start August 2nd. It's going to be a detox off of sugar and toxins, and you're going to learn how to be fully nourished, eating beautiful food. So there's recipes. You get the Beauty Fuel ebook, and then we'll go through. I'll be providing you guys with like a shopping list, a daily meal plan with all gluten-free recipes. It's not a dairy-free plan, but all the dairy that we're going to be eating is not going to be cow's dairy. It's going to be goat, and I'm going to teach you guys the difference between all of these things, as well as what supplements, like should you take collagen, should you take zinc and silica and all these things for skin, hair, and nails. Plus about the gut, the liver, and proper detoxing. So detoxing, when I see juice cleanses, they're high sugar mostly, and like if I did a juice cleanse, I'd be eating way more sugar than I ever do. and I think that they're a little bit of a fad. I actually do a soup cleanse, which, you know, it's still good to rest your digestive system, and I like intermittent fasting. If you guys want to do this, this is the first time that I've promoted it, so I've literally just put this up. It's $89, but if you sign up in the next 24 hours, you can have it for $59, which is great value for all that information. I've looked at prices of other ones, and some of them are really expensive. So I want to make this accessible for you guys, and I want you to be able to get the information. So there is a discount code if you go to Eventbrite, and if you search 10-Day Beauty Fuel Detox, and then put in the code intuitive, or get in touch with me. All right, so we've got another one, the 30-Day Mind Body Reset. This one starts sooner. This is the third time I'm doing it, and I'm loving doing it. So the 30-Day Mind Body Reset is going to be really focusing on a lot of what we've just talked about. I get to work with you guys one-on-one. So we do a consult, you become a client, I give you a prescription for supplements, we go over your whole health history, you have access to specialized testing, you get an 8,000 word document guidebook that I've written up, plus there's going to be live weekly webinars, which, so it's kind of like going to school. So you get like all this information, and we go through all this stuff in this sort of format, but specific for the liver, specific for hormones, just yes, just like more in depth. So the price for that is $149, and use the discount code as well on that, which is intuitive. So this is for this program only, this discount. And you can go to Eventbrite and click on 30-day, or search for 30-Day Mind Body Reset. Also, if you guys go to my website, mindbodyiq.com.au, these are available there. All right, so one more I've got for you guys is, and this is a totally exclusive offer. I'm not actually promoting this. I'm hoping to get this one full. You know, I'll see how many of you guys register for this. So this is being offered to you first. There's only 10 spots. So I've called this one Period Sessions. And the reason that I'm doing this is because it seems like every woman that I meet and talk to, sort of like, especially after I've talked about something, takes me inside and says, but what about my period? What does this mean? And so these are, I've made some time sort of over the next month. These are a lot less than what it would cost to see me one-on-one. What this includes is a live webinar. So I'm going to talk to you guys about the 5 types of periods and all of the things that can go wrong with a period, and all of the signs and symptoms that we need to look out for. And so I'm just going to explain all that in this type of format. I've done this as a workshop for girls before, and they like, oh my God, I didn't know this stuff about my period. And then I'm like I almost feel like a duty of care to go and just tell people all this information, because it's our periods. Like, we have to understand this. And your period is a vital sign. The American Gynecological Association has declared the period's a vital sign. This is only in the last few years. So it's like your blood pressure and like your pulse. So you need to know what's going on with your period. So the goal of the session is to help you get clear about your own period symptoms, learn why your period is a vital sign, learn the top foods to help you rebalance your period and your hormones, and I'll give you advice on herbs and supplements. So we'll do that in our 30-minute consult. So you'll get all the information, and then you get a 30-minute consult with me, and it's $39. So I didn't put the price on there. But go to mindbodyiq.com.au, and then go to Shop MindBodyIQ, and that's where you can purchase it. And like I said, there's only 10, so this is obviously something I've got time for over the next month, and it'll be really wonderful to be able to work with you guys one-on-one in this particular area. Wow, so that is the end of our webinar on your intuitive body. So I hope that you guys got something from this. I'd love to get messages from you. So if you want to send me a message and tell me how this was for you and what you like the most and what you would want more of in the next one, then that would be amazing. And thank you so much for listening all the way through this. And I really appreciate you guys being here and being part of this and being open. I'm absolutely loving the kinds of people that are being attracted to this type of work that I'm doing, because I keep, like I said, I'm a problem solver, and I'm always trying to think of a new way to do things, because I think that if we just keep doing things in the old way, it doesn't always work. So we got to be creative and bring our curiosity and our creativity. All right, you guys. I will leave it at that. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.